Today we are here on one of the most southern parts of the Great Barrier Reef at Lady Musgrave,
which is also the most northern point we would be in this trip.
Yep. But the story of how we got here is for another day. Today we want to talk about what we did in January of last year, which was almost 12 months ago. Kind of crazy that it's taken us this long to put everything together, but yeah. The two big things we wanted to get done while we were out of the water was to repaint the antifouling on the bottom of the boat, just to keep all the crustaceans and growths from happening, and change out the through holes. So we started in sort of the beginning of January, like first couple days of January, and we took about 3 days to get down to the boat works, which is where we were actually going to be lifting the boat out and doing the work. Yeah. The first day, though, was really rough. We had a lot of like sideways rain, and it was just not very pleasant. And then the other 2 days was pretty clear. We just ended up motoring most of the way down through all the canals to get down to the Gold Coast, or Camara, I think technically is where the boatworks was. So that took us about 3 days. And then once we got there, we stayed there at the dock there for one night, and then we got the boat hauled out the next morning. And everything went really smoothly with that. It was sort of our first time doing that, so we were a little bit just unsure of the process, but yeah, it went really, really well. And then they put us at an area kind of in the back that was more for yachties, and we were the only ones there for probably 4 days, which was nice. So we had our own private sort of kitchen and bathroom and laundry accommodation area. And then the first day was really just getting the boat out of the water, so that was the 4th. On the 5th, we started sanding. So yeah, that was pretty much the entire day of the 5th, I think, was just us wet sanding the anti-foul off the bottom of the boat. Yep. So on the 6th, we actually removed the skin fittings. So that was sort of part of we did the sanding on the 5th, and then on the 6th we actually finished removing all of the skin fittings, the old skin fittings that were on the boat. That was also, I think that was the day, well actually maybe even the 4th, we actually realized that we needed to get our septic tank pumped out. We had a leak when we tried to start emptying the septic tank. We had poo coming out of an unknown source. One of the T-valves was leaking. So we ended up having to empty the septic tank entirely into a bucket multiple times. And then it really wasn't still fully empty. You know, every angle that you move the pipe, you get a different thing. So we ended up having to today take out all of the rest of the pipe, and that gave us back sort of the area so we could get to it to clean everything, get all of the poo water out and clean from underneath. And then we got all new pipes today. We're gonna go put that in hopefully the next day or so. So these are the 3 through holes coming out from underneath the sink. So this one's the output for the sink water. This is the intake for salt water to flush the toilet. And this is the outtake. Oh, there's a fly. Yeah, we've got a little fly infestation. What do you think about today?
We have accomplished less than what I was thinking, but we've done a lot already. We're tired.
The 7th through the 9th, we had removed the skin fittings. We were cleaning out all the through holes. And then on the 9th, we actually dry fitted and put the new skin fittings in place with all the caulking. And then
that was a lot harder than she's making it sound. It's so hot inside, and yeah, I'm just working in like really confined environments. There's a puddle of sweat just where I've been standing for like 30 minutes trying to tighten something.
What are we doing today?
So we just dry fitted all of those skin fittings, so we marked them, so now we know where to position them. So next step is to clean the area where they will be, and we apply some bonding or sealant agent, and we wait for them to dry, and then the following day we will tighten them quarter more just to make sure it's really tight, and then we'll be able to place all of those valves that are waiting to be mounted.
So our little plumbing project has continued. We started working on just pulling out all the old plumbing, and then we had the electric toilet pump that we had was rusting and corroding, so we just decided, since we were pulling all the plumbing out and redoing that, we should probably just go ahead and fix the toilet as well. So we bought a new toilet base and pump, and right now we are just getting everything nice and clean. So getting rid of the rust stains, filling in the extra holes that we don't need, and then this is all nice and cleared out now, which is awesome looking compared to what it was before. And we'll start putting in the new toilet, and then we'll start putting in the new plumbing. On the 10th, we cleaned the boat, the actual outside of the boat, we cleaned it, and then we taped the bottom to prepare for the antifouling coat that we were going to put on it. So we had to do the skin fittings first, and then we put the antifouling on top of the skin fittings. And then on the 11th of January, we primed all the areas on the boat that needed priming. We pretty much primed most of the boat, actually.
I think everything where there was like a bit of a dent as well, we primed. And then we sanded it again to make it kind of flush.
Yeah. And then, so that we did the first coat of antifouling that day as well on the 11th. So we primed in the morning, first coat of antifouling. Antifouling is pretty nasty. We were like fully covered from head to toe. It was still coming through. We just bought the paint suit, like the cheap paint suits you can buy at Bunnings. And the antifouling was still coming through them. So like, I also had to just wear like a black shirt and black shorts, because otherwise everything I had underneath that was getting black all over it.
One thing to remember is January is summer in Australia.
It was very hot. We were fully covered, eyes, mouth, head to toe with this paint suit. So that was pretty uncomfortable. It wasn't too bad. I think it could have been hotter than it was. So it was still hot, but it wasn't like sweltering.
Whew. Today has been hard work so far. We started to put the piping back on the through holes, and we have primed most of the hole, and we've just done the first coat of antifouling. How are you feeling, Erica?
Exhausted.
Well, it's our last day on the yard, and we still have quite a lot to do. So now it's I think probably 8:30. And we are about to do our second coat of antifouling. Shouldn't rain today, and once this is done, we can finish all of the plumbing. It's going to be long. Alright, so now I'm ready to mix the antifouling.
Thought I'd film the most exciting part about this process, just taking off the tape. One more project that we are doing while we're on the dry stand is the chain markers. So we have all these colors, and we're going to put them on the chain at 20, 25, 30, 35, all the way up to 80, so that we can see how much chain we have out when we're putting it out. So, this is what we've landed with of the colors we had. Mm-hmm. So red is going to be 20, a mix of red and blue is 25, blue is 30, mix of blue and green is 35, green is 40, mix of green and white is 35, and so on and so forth, until we get to 75. And then this little combo color is our 80 meter marker, which is basically the end of the chain. So probably don't really need it, but we have it. It's been a while since we filmed this side project we've been working on. We've made a lot of progress. There's been a lot of cursing. It's also the end of our last day, and so we're kind of trying to get through everything at the last minute. So the main cause of crisis for this has been getting the tubes to fit on the tails that are just really hard to press on. So we had a little heat gun for crafts, and we've upgraded to a bigger heat gun that's not for crafts, which seems to be helping a little bit, but I think our hands are still pretty rough from a lot of pushing and pulling and tightening and handwork, if you will.
At least no poop today.
There was actually some poop, but it was for the 4th time, so I've just gotten used to it now. But the poop connector is now officially connected to something, so there shouldn't be any more poop just like loosely coming out of the septic tank anymore. One last video just to show our finished work. So now we have a new valve that's connected to the wall, and we've replaced all of this piping, saltwater intake. We have not replaced the pipes, the sink pipe or the ones going to the holding tank, but the rest of them have been replaced. And hopefully no leaking. No more leaking. Yay. It's been intense. That was sort of our last day was the 12th, January 12th, and then on the 13th in the morning we put the boat back in the water.
It was our sabbatical, so it was meant to be like
but
vacation.
We did end up spending the second half of January in Hawaii, so that was nice.
Yeah. But we didn't bring the boat.
No. Well, we got a nice little break after that. Yeah, so that's about it for January. Stay tuned for the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
Since we started it and how we got to where we are.